This is the Lockpicking Lawyer. The lock I have for you today is an ASSA Desmo cam lock. This is a high security cam lock used on things like vending machines and gambling machines. And as you can see just by looking at this key, it's a relatively unusual mechanism. So I'm going to do things a little bit differently. This will be a multi-part video. In the next part, I'm going to have the lock taken apart. I'll show you what's inside, how it works, how the key engages with the locking mechanism, and hopefully from all of that we can learn some lessons about how to open this up. Then in part 3, I will pick the lock open and then take it apart again to show you that everything was still inside. So I'm going to cut the video, take it apart, and then restart it in a moment. Okay, so we have the lock apart now, and you are looking at the insides. In looking at this, you should realize that it really isn't one integrated locking mechanism, but two entirely separate and independent locking mechanisms, each one consisting of 3 sliders and a sidebar. And as you can see, if we look at this core, on the left and the right, there's spots for 3 sliders and 1 sidebar. Let's take a close look at these sliders. Okay, as you can see, there is the top of the slider right here. That is the part that engages with the sidebar. Then there's a small pull that comes down and a disc at the bottom. Now, let me show you how that engages with the key. When you insert the key in the lock, that disc slides along the groove in the key and it stops in place. Let me actually give you the correct one, I guess just 2. So you can see when they're in their right spot, the true gates line up and it allows the sidebar to drop down. So, how do we use this information to open the lock? Well, there's a flaw we're going to take advantage of, and that has to do with the way the sliders engage with the sidebar. Let's try to focus on that. There we go. If you look very carefully, you can see the little ledge on the sidebar is just a tiny bit smaller than the true gate. What this does is allows a small amount of movement when the slider is properly set. If it is not properly set, then the ledge there will ride along the sidebar and it will seize the slider up. So what we know from that is that if the slider is a little bit loose, we don't touch it. If it's bound up, we can touch it. Now, the next portion of this lock that we're going to take advantage of. One of the issues with picking any lock is making sure you've properly located your pick. And in this lock, it is incredibly easy. When I insert my pick, I'm going to use the half diamond to lift up the sliders. I know I'm under 1, I know I'm under 2. It just drops right into a groove, makes it incredibly easy to locate my pick as long as I just press it against the side of the keyway. And that works the same on both sides. So, I think we have a plan. What we're going to do is first put tension on the core, lift every pin to A gate, doesn't matter false gate or true gate, and because each of these sliders only has 3 gates and there are 6 sliders total, just by sheer chance that probably means we set about 1/3 of them. Then we go through, we look for the slider that's bound the tightest, we lift it up just 1 gate, and we go around until all the sliders are a little bit loose and or the lock opens. So let me put this thing back together, and in the next part we will attempt to pick it open, and then I'll gut it again to show you that everything was still inside. Okay, I have the lock back together. I must have done something right because it still works. So we are now going to pick this guy open. The first thing we're going to do is put the pick in backwards and just press all the sliders all the way to the lowest position. That way we know we are only going to be lifting them up. Then I'm going to apply tension to the core. I'm using a Sparrow's pry bar type tension wrench, and we're going to start by trying to get each of the sliders into a gate. False or true gate doesn't matter at this point. For the purposes of this pick, I'm going to call the 3 sliders on the left 1 through 3 and the 3 on the right 4 through 6. Okay, on number 1, got him into a gate, 2's in a gate, and 3's in a gate, 4's in a gate, 5 is in a gate, and 6 is in a gate. Okay, now what we're going to do is we are going to feel for whatever pin is not moving at all. Number 1 has a little bit of movement, so we leave him alone. Number 2 is binding tightly, so I'm going to rotate the core back just a little bit and lift him up 1 gate. Okay, got him up 1 gate. Number 3 appears to be moving. I'm going to leave him alone. Number 4 is pretty tight, so I'm going to move him up a gate. Okay, got him up 1. Number 5, he is also tight. Okay, got him up 1. And 6 has some play to it, so I'm going to leave him alone. Okay, number 1 is moving a little bit. Number 2 appears to be tight, so I'm going to try to lift him up 1 gate, allow some counter rotation. Okay, got him up 1 gate. That's 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 appears to be moving a bit. 4 has some play to him. Okay, 5 is definitely bound up. Allow a little counter rotation. Lift him up. And that was the last one. Got her open. So it seems like our plan worked. Just go through, hunt for the most tightly bound pin or slider, I should say, and lift him up 1 gate. And keep going through methodically doing the same thing, and it will eventually open. Okay, now let's take it apart, and I will show you that everything is still inside. Okay, I did not put all the backing materials on this cam lock, so we can just slide it right out. Start with the, the left side. Take this sidebar out, put it in position number 4, and let's also drop out the spring tensioner. Looks like I dropped one of the sliders. Let's see, that was number 1. Let's put him in the correct spot. And number 2, and now number 3. Okay, let's get the other sidebar out, and the other spring tensioner. And finally the rest of the sliders. Number 4, 5, and 6. Okay, as you can see, well, let me just zoom in on this for you. Okay, as you can see, all of our sliders were in, and both of the sidebars were present and intact. So, that's all I have for you today with the ASSA Desmo cam lock. If you have any questions or comments, please put them below. If you like this video and would like to see more like it, please subscribe. And as always, Have a nice day. Thank you.